Welcome to Aristotle's Cafe. We come each and every week to practice our communication skills, our cultural awareness skills, our ability to think critically in a group setting, and also to share different perspectives. We've been running these sessions for the past 13 years all over the world, and we've had the chance to meet a lot of interesting people. I'm really excited to share this with you today, and I know that you're going to be ready for the discussion that we're going to have. So there's 3 rules that we have. The first rule of Aristotle's Cafe is that we only ask questions as the facilitator. So I'm only going to lead this group by asking questions. I will not give any answers. This is all about you and sharing your opinions. The second rule is there are no right or wrong answers. So I repeat, there are no right or wrong answers. Anything that you say, I just ask that you support it with your own opinions and your own thoughts and do it respectfully. And the third rule is that we're here with other people for the next hour, so please turn off all electronic devices, cell phones, pagers, and anything that might distract us from what we're going to do. And we've already done that, so we can just jump right into it. And the last thing that I want to say, it's not really a rule, but just a warning, is that we are going to start with one question, and we might end with even more questions, and I hope you're ready for that. The way that we begin is very simple. I'm going to pass out a card, and you're just going to write down any question that you have on the back of it. Any question, big or small, short or tall. The only suggestion or tip that I have is that it's not easy to answer with a yes or a no. So an open-ended question. And if you could, please use good handwriting because I'm going to have to read them off. Any question? Thank you. And also, if you didn't think of a question fast enough, that's okay. It's not so important. There's going to be other opportunities. So I'm just going to read the question off. And what I want everyone to do on the first round is you'll vote as many times as you want for any question that you want to start with. So it'll be one that you're interested to talk about. So if you want to choose it, just put your hand up. Does humanity have more beyond the nuclear family structure? So does humanity have to move beyond the nuclear family structure, as in 2 parents and 2 children? So who wants to vote for that? Put your hand in there. All right. Is Thailand a free country? Is Thailand a free country? All right. Should everyone have a chance to be educated? How do Thai people feel about foreigners? Popular one. All right. What is the meaning of life? Great. So all these questions are good, but there's 2 that got more votes than the other ones, and we'll start with those. So now you're going to vote on which one you want to begin with. You only get 1 vote this time. And I'm going to read them off. How do Thai people feel about foreigners? And should everyone have a chance to be educated? So you only get 1 vote. How many people want to start with the question, how do Thai people feel about foreigners? Okay, and I'm not always good at math, so let's just ask this anyway. Should everyone have a chance to be educated? All right, so we have a winner by 1 vote. And the question that we're going to start with today is, how do Thai people feel about foreigners? What do you guys think?
Well, I think a Thai person person should maybe answer first. Or
sure. Any ideas? You're representing your whole country now.
Well, I think there are definitely many versions of how do Thai people feel towards foreigners, which just depends on who is that person. So I would say in general, people feel people have a very, very positive feelings towards foreigners, Thai people in general. Yeah.
Any other ideas?
So first thing, it depends on the word foreigner, and what I think is, first thing is the opinion, which is different. I feel that people from other countries have different opinion from maybe from Thai, and that opinion is kind of open up my mind more on to know more about their culture, their thought, or their behavior, like their languages.
So you can learn something from them too, or it depends where they're coming from. Any other ideas?
My experience has been very varied. As a black woman in Thailand, I have a unique perspective on this topic, I think. And I've also spoken to friends who are from different countries, and it's apparent that we have completely different experiences of like communicating with Thai people and their like reaction to us. So
Can you be a little specific just to help us understand?
Mm-hmm. So my experience has been that if I have a positive outlook on things, then I feel like Thai people have a positive reaction to me. Whereas if I'm skeptical about something and give off that kind of vibe, I get a different reaction. That's been my experience. Yeah.
Any other ideas?
I would agree with Frankie that if you give out positivity, then it tends to be reciprocated. And that's what you were saying, right? And if it's, it's the land of smiles, a smile can really carry you a far way in Thailand if you look like you're having fun while not being disrespectful and enjoying interacting with Thai people.
Yeah, I think that's quite a universal thing, that what you give, you get back. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
I think, one question that we can ask is like, we said that it's about Thais and foreigners and things like that, but are we just talking about cultural fit? Are we asking questions about, is the question that we're asking is that how do people react to foreigners, for example, in any country? Or we want to make it specific here because I think it could be applied everywhere actually, and it could be an interesting conversation. What do you guys think?
That's true. The original question was, what do Thai people think about foreigners, right? We don't really know what people think versus how they act. Because usually, as a foreigner, it seems like I'm very well received, but that might not be the thought behind the action necessarily.
Yeah, do we want to? So this question is really like we have to find a way to grab onto what we started with. So,
right.
Do we want to say that? Should we talk about our experiences and maybe to get everyone involved, we can ask that question about like, first off, for the people that are from here, do you always have good experiences with foreigners? And then maybe for the people that are not from here, maybe are your experiences always positive with local people, right? Like, and what do you guys?
Right.
Maybe we share around that a little bit.
Okay.
And maybe to add to that, also from your experience and your friends, your circle, your family, what is the general consensus about foreigners from your different backgrounds?
Okay. I think it's good that we stick to Thailand and not just like how do you feel about foreigners in general, because I wouldn't have an experience of living in Spain or England and could share that very, very well. So if we could stick with this, that'd be great. I feel that depending on the economical status of the foreigner, that also plays a critical role. Like, if he's coming in or she's coming in as a senior executive or coming in as a migrant worker in such a case, then you would get a different experience. So to divide with the three foreigners in our group of discussion, and keeping it closer, then we feel we have a lot of space and we can accommodate more people currently. So we're not closed off to any foreign visits or working criteria. So we don't feel like nobody's taking our jobs. So we're welcome in that sense. That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is uniquely Thai, I think. So you're right to keep it in this realm of conversation. That most places, like the places that we come from, Canada and the UK, they're very xenophobic to foreigners, right? Even though there technically should be more wealth, more prosperity to go around, there's still this sense of insecurity that foreigners are taking people's jobs, they're taking people's livelihoods away from their families. But in Thailand, you really don't experience that type of xenophobia. There's no political party campaigning on the basis of we need to get rid of all these foreigners. And I don't think even if there was, that Thai people would rally around that cry. Whereas in the United States, we're seeing Donald Trump use that as a way to come to power.
Is that true? Like, are there campaigns in Thailand that are like, for example, like trying to keep different like neighboring countries out of Thailand from the workers that come over? Or is it a very open policy?
I think they do have the limit in terms of, they do put some quotas on who can come in and who's not, but not as strict as in USA or other countries, I think.
Actually, I haven't seen the protest on this, but I've seen some reserved professions for Thai people, which is for very traditional, like handcraft or art things, or like, I'm not quite sure, like doctors would be one of them, civil engineer would be one of the profession that is reserved for Thai people, kind of that.
Do people that move in, because I don't know if we know enough about it, do people that move here, do they have full voting rights and things like that in Thailand, or they have to go through certain processes, or?
As a foreigner, I don't think you can vote.
No.
Yeah, I don't think you can vote to my knowledge.
Like okay, so and is there a process that people can become like naturalized or get voting rights if they're from, if they lived here for 20 years or something like that?
It's very difficult. Say my wife, I married a Chinese Hong Kong. She gets it's still very hard for her to get just a permanent resident. She has to renew her visa every year. That she has a Thai spouse just to live in Bangkok, and it's a yearly process. So talking about voting rights, I think we don't even think about it. So, but I think she's quite happy and she's quite accepted well by people. So yeah.
From my experience as a teacher, as a black teacher, and from speaking to other black teachers that have come to Thailand to work, I have heard that there's not strict rules about how many black teachers you can have in a school, but they do make it difficult, some schools, and some schools will be quite blatant about saying that they don't want black teachers in the school. So I think that foreigners is very wide, and Caucasian foreigners will have a completely different experience than black foreigners.
Right.
in terms of getting a job, especially as a teacher. Here, my experience has been positive, but I've analysed that quite a lot, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's because I assimilate quite well to Thai culture. I'm small physically, good looking, I like to think, and quite pleasant. So I haven't had so much negative experience here. Have some, but not too much. Some of the friends who are different looking have had a completely different experience there. So I think physically how you look and how you act and how you assimilate to the culture plays a big part as well.
Yeah, I would like to point out this. Yeah, this is one of the big thing about Thai people, that they put a lot of judgment around appearance, the way you look, and in terms of the skin. There used to be a whitening period, things that the whitening products so booming in Thailand because Thai people want to.
But is that more around Asia? Like, Chinese kind of, skins, or it's not just Thailand, it's also in Singapore, in maybe China or Korea or Japan, where, being less exposed to the sun is seen as somebody who is more well off.
Can you explain that?
Because the whitening products is quite big in Asia due to the fact that people think that they look better with fairer skin. And in some countries, some people prefer to be tan, and it looks great on certain skins. And some skins looks, in a way, I wouldn't say better because I don't think it's better or worse, but it's just a preference culturally for, not just in Thailand, but around Asia. You would see this
And the world, I would say.
Yeah,
Right?
I would say the
South
world
America, I saw similar ads for
Yes.
skin whitening, and in multicultural societies like Toronto or London, there's always a white preference
Yes.
as well.
Also in the Caribbean, where my family's from, it's very prevalent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And India as well.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
it's
it's
not
a
just
worldwide.
Asia.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But I feel like in Thailand, the products are really pushed. They're much more widely available and
Right.
advertised a lot here. Like, it's quite hard to find products like creams and even deodorant that doesn't contain whitening products.
Ingredients.
Yeah.
But that's a kind of interesting concept because historically in the U.S. or some other countries, I can really see why this is happening because of the history of those countries with colonization and things like that. But
Right.
do we know, or do we think about the background why, let's say, Thailand would have that kind of preference?
I think for most countries it's you're tan, which means you're working class
Yeah.
because you're in the sun. You're a farmer, you're a laborer, and then people take that concept and internalize it, I think, to be like, oh, these people are working class, they are lesser than someone who is well off.
So let me just ask the question. But I think the Western think the other way, right? The Western love to be tan, so always go for,
Right,
yeah.
I love getting a tan.
Yeah.
People come to Thailand to get a tan, and meanwhile, the people who live here are trying not to get a tan. It's a very strange loop.
Yeah.
It's like just beauty standards. Like, after a while, it doesn't make sense. It's just what is classed as beautiful and what is not classed as beautiful, what's pushed by the media, what kind of film stars you see more, and who's getting better treatment. So who's getting, in terms of relationships, who's getting chosen.
I think that's also a piece that we have to ask, is that when these biases exist, when something is beautiful and something's not beautiful, what are situations that happen in the society? Like how does that come out in different ways, and what does it look like?
Like, good question. And I was thinking of when I grew up, we Thai people prefer to have Thai movie stars, but the looks of the Thai movie stars changes over time. Like when I grew up, it's like a mixed white, mixed Asian kind of look that was very famous, and now it's more towards the Chinese, smaller eyes look that got a lot more famous. And I think in the past 2-3 years, we prefer like bigger movie stars over like the thinner ones, but I'm not sure. I don't really. Maybe. Okay. The half white, half Asian guys were famous when I was 13, but now it's more of the purely Asian looks. So I don't know if that plays any add to the conversation or not. So maybe it deviates. But
There certainly is a standard of Thai beauty that you see in ads. I'm like, is that the same guy, same woman in every ad? They look so similar,
yeah,
and or the aesthetic is always so much the same.
I would say we are a very conservative nation. Like we are more conservative because of less exposure to diversity. Maybe also where you live in Chonburi or Rayong, there's a few expats, but still a lot less than Bangkok and a lot less than Vancouver or Canada, where you come from, or UK, where there's like diversity is huge, right? You get people from India, you get people from Panama, you get people from, and you can't really tell, but in Thailand we're just Asian, not Asian, kind of.
Right.
Any other ideas or?
Well, maybe building on that, like, what is the exact definition of Pharan or Phalang? Like, would a Cambodian migrant worker be considered Phalang?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned in my first question, because depends on the word foreigner you define.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, what would it be?
Well, to Thai people, when you use the word Farang, actually it means like white Caucasians specifically. Yeah. But because of
But our conversation is about foreigner, not foreign,
Yeah.
right?
Foreigner is one out of this country.
the word Farang is pretty specific actually to Thai
It's
culture.
like a race. more than
Okay.
a race.
Yeah,
In
it's
reference
specific.
to French people, or sorry,
Not
Caucasian
French.
people.
Yeah, white as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be considered a Farang.
Yeah, they wouldn't call Farang.
Not always.
Not all.
No.
Yeah, but
Sometimes you
always.
might be foreign. Not always.
Right. Yeah.
It would happen to Indians. It would happen to, Cambodians.
But I think this is because in the past, maybe 20 years ago, all foreigners that come to Thailand will be a white Caucasian, so that's why they have the perception of Farang on that way. Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I think is interesting is that as we're going about this process, like it's funny, we start with Thailand, but I'm pretty sure that all these questions and what we're saying applies to every single country, and I think it's the question that I really want to ask is that we categorize, we segment, we separate, and my main question is that I think a lot of times when we're looking at another country, we might laugh that, for example, they think white is beautiful or tan is beautiful, but the main point of it is that as humans, are we just, no matter what, going to keep segmenting ourselves, or is that just part of our nature to just keep segmenting and keep having these comparisons that put one above the other? Or is that human nature, or is that just kind of, or is it capitalistic? What's the reason for that? Like,
I think like when you're searching for an identity, one of the easiest ways to build your identity is to see similarities like physically, culturally, and so that just leads into separation, then, doesn't it? That's like
Right. And really, there's nothing wrong with separation.
no.
I think it's when supremacy becomes a part of it and saying, hey, my group is better than your group. I think that's when it becomes problematic.
Yes, yes.
Right? We love communities. We want to build communities, and we want them to be strong. But it doesn't. But no community should be better than the other, or
Yeah, I totally agree on this. Yeah.
Does anyone have agree or disagree about that?
I think Thailand, in a way, could be a model for the world in how they treat foreigners, because they're so accepting and they're so welcoming, and an American person from New York in Thailand is going to be treated like royalty almost, and then but a Thai person who struggles to speak English maybe goes to New York and they will be treated very rudely, I think.
Can I just interject?
Yes.
I think that might be true for Caucasian or Caucasian-looking foreigners, but
Right.
it's not true for darker skin-toned people.
Yeah.
They don't get treated very nicely in Thailand, and it's a struggle. So I think that for Caucasian lighter-looking people, it might be that this is a model for the world for that point of view. But for a black person living in Thailand, there is a lot of some like rudeness or like exclusion or suspicion, assumptions, these things, and we feel it every day.
Right.
You know, some of us can accept it. Some of us are just like, no, I'm not dealing with that. I'd rather not be here. But it's definitely there, for sure.
I see. Yeah. I would totally agree. And there were buts to my this should be a model for the world. And you're right, that is one of them.
Just so that you guys know, there's about 5 minutes left. So if there's any last ideas or things that we didn't cover or important pieces that you want to throw in, then now's a great time.
I want to ask if your actions as a foreigner affect, how much actions as a foreigner affect how you're being treated in Thailand. You said that because you have a smaller, better looking looks, but that's your actions, or is it just about looks that yeah. And for you as well?
For me, the looks is a big thing. Like, for example, I get treated differently just by how I wear my hair. If I wear long hair, I get treated better than if I wear like my natural hair. And it's so stark that it's disturbing at sometimes. If I walk down the street, the looks are completely different. If I wear makeup, the looks are completely different. The way I dress, the looks are completely different. So like me personally, I want to have a pleasant experience in Thailand. So I change the way I look. But that is also like affecting me and my identity, because I have to change to fit in. Whereas like another Caucasian person, they don't have to change their appearance. They are accepted, they're welcomed, they're like idolized already. So I think that does make a difference. My actions, does that answer the question?
Yes, and
Yeah.
what about also how you treat people or how you speak? Is that like, or did you never experience, like never really try the A/B testing the same way you did with what you wear?
Yeah, I've tried that too, because I thought, for example, early last year, I went natural. So I just wore my natural hair, tried to wear less makeup and just have like a more authentic look. And it didn't matter if I was polite to people, the look that they gave me was like, oh, African.
Right.
Yeah, they didn't believe me when I said I was from England, because I didn't have that westernized look. And it didn't matter if I was speaking Thai, being polite. The initial was always very like guarded and more suspicious and less friendly and less opening. So I just think that a lot of it is to do with looks. Yeah, that's the main thing. Second thing is how you interact and stuff like that. Yeah.
I would say looks does play a significant part of it. I would categorize Thai society as quite aesthetic, or based on aesthetics. I'm quite lucky because not only am I Caucasian, I'm also half Japanese, both of which are desirable countries to be from in Thailand. But even a slight difference of being from Toronto, like I am, but instead of being half Japanese, being half Filipino, that could completely change the opportunities that I have in the country. And schools that I've worked at previously, I won't name any names, I guess, they specifically didn't hire an African man with a master's degree in education, and they specifically didn't hire a Filipino woman to be a teacher because we already had one in the office. Whereas, and so maybe if I was half Filipino, even though I'm a native English speaker, they wouldn't have hired me. And things like that, those subtle
Does that
differences.
bother you? Does that bother you at all?
Does it butter me?
Bother? Is
Does
it
it bother
disturbing
me?
to you, or?
It was. It was one reason I didn't want to work at that school anymore when they chose not to hire that black man who was overqualified and willing to accept a smaller salary than he deserved, just so he could probably stay in Thailand for whatever his reasons were. And I immediately thought that he was a kind-hearted person, and I think he would have been a good teacher. And the person they hired was a German person with a very thick accent that should not be teaching English in any respect to Thai students. And he had blue eyes and white skin, and I don't think he was a very good teacher.
We are ending a bit here. Sorry that we have to. I know it's.
One more thing, I would say to touch on the actions, they do matter as well. For example, we were trying to catch a taxi home the other day, and my girlfriend tried to catch like 5 taxis before I tried for the first time, and I noticed that when she tried to catch the taxi, she didn't why. And so the first thing I did was why and bow respectfully to the driver and say, "Sawadi kap," maybe throw some kapom around, and then just be very successful. And he's like, "Yeah, okay, get in." So it does matter. I think it is a culture that we focus on aesthetics a lot, too much, I think. And also, people do appreciate if you're trying to assimilate.
So with that being said, sorry to wrap it up. I know we're in the middle of a lot of passionate and important discussion, but these are short to keep the ideas moving, and you can take these conversations beyond just this space, and you can take it to your community, or your family, or your home with you. So we start today with, how do Thai people feel about foreigners? We had a lot of different ideas, and generally I think we decided that Thai people are human just like everyone else, and in some cases there's different biases that they have and that everyone might have. I don't know any answers that we can come to by the end of this, but the question that I have for you is just, we all make decisions based off of looks or actions, and I guess the next question that I have and that you'll have to take from here is that, what will you do when you see one of those arise for the wrong reasons? Thank you very much.